It happens in an instant, a slip of a blade, a scrape on the pavement, the bite of a metal edge. To your eyes, it's just a small cut. But beneath the surface, a universe breaks open. At the microscopic scale, this wound is chaos. Cell walls shred. Plasma leaks. Microscopic debris rains down. Damaged endothelial cells, the ones lining your blood vessels, are the first to feel the shockwave. They send out an invisible distress signal. Chemical messengers racing in all directions. Within seconds, these molecules ignite the body's defense network. Nearby vessels constrict to slow the bleeding. But deep inside the broken capillaries, a new kind of movement begins. Red blood cells pour out, helpless. But the platelets, they are the first responders. They drift toward the exposed collagen fibers at the wound's edge and instantly change shape, from smooth discs to jagged stars with sticky arms. This is the first barricade, a fragile dam built from living fragments. But it cannot last alone. Platelets begin a biochemical chant, releasing clotting factors, molecules that summon reinforcements. They trigger the legendary coagulation cascade, a molecular domino effect. One by one, the threads connect, until the wound is sealed beneath a living net. The bleeding stops. To your eyes, the wound clots. To the cells below, it's a fortress under siege. The battle's first phase is over, containment. But the real war has just begun. Inside the wound, silence falls, heavy and tense. Deprived of oxygen, cells begin to die. The tissue darkens, acidic, desperate. A chemical beacon now burns through your bloodstream. A signal no white blood cell can ignore. Histamines, cytokines, and chemokines drift outward like a microscopic call to arms. Far away, floating immune cells sense it. They turn, orienting their path toward the breach. And the blood vessels begin to open their gates. The first defenders arrive. Neutrophils, aggressive, short-lived, merciless. They crawl through tissue fibers, sniffing out damaged scent trails. And when they find bacteria or dead cells, they attack. They devour the invaders, dissolve debris, and release microscopic flames of destruction, bleach, peroxides, acids. Collateral damage doesn't matter. Their mission, cleanse at all costs. And one by one, the warriors fall, their bodies piling up, forming the pale residue of the first skirmish, pus. As the first night passes over the wound, the chaos settles. The bleeding is stopped. The intruders, mostly gone. But the body's mission isn't finished. Now begins the rebuilding, the slow art of life returning to order. Tomorrow, regeneration begins. Hours have passed since the cut. The bleeding stopped. The clot stands firm. But below its surface, a graveyard of microscopic ruin. The war's first defenders are gone. But their sacrifice left a message, a signal calling the next wave. The cleanup crew. And leading them, the macrophages. If neutrophils were the berserkers, macrophages are the sentient giants. Their name means big eaters, and that's exactly what they are. They glide across the battlefield, reading the terrain, recognizing every fallen cell, every bacterial remnant, friend or foe. Macrophages don't fight with rage, they clean with precision. Each one can consume hundreds of dead cells, digesting them molecule by molecule. As they work, they release gentle streams of cytokines, soothing chemical signals that calm the chaos. Where once there was fury, now there's order. Macrophages patrol like gardeners after a storm, pruning, clearing, rebuilding the foundation for what's to come. Because healing isn't possible until the battlefield is clean. Nothing here is wasted. The body reclaims its fallen. Even in death, cells become the raw materials of life again. Macrophages release growth factors, messages that summon fibroblasts, the architects of tissue repair. The fibroblasts arrive quietly, patient, deliberate. They're not warriors, but constructors. They're tools, collagen and elastin, the scaffolding proteins of the body. They'll soon begin weaving new tissue. But for now, the macrophages hold the line, making sure no infection lingers. A few stragglers remain, bacterial survivors hiding in tissue shadows. But they don't last long. The cleanup crew finds them all, each engulfed, dissolved, erased from existence. When the last bacterium fades, the battlefield finally falls silent. A new day rises at the microscopic scale. The war is over. The reconstruction begins. Macrophages now change their purpose, from destroyers to healers. They begin releasing VEGF and TGF-beta, signals that awaken blood vessel cells. New vessels push forward, bringing oxygen and nutrients back to the wounded land. Each pulse of blood now feeds the builders that follow: fibroblasts, stem cells, and keratinocytes preparing to rebuild the lost skin. What was once destruction is now rebirth. The battlefield is no longer a place of death, but of transformation. Cells clean, rebuild, and prepare for the final phase. The reconstruction. Because your body doesn't just survive, it remembers, adapts, and rebuilds stronger than before. The battlefield has changed. No longer soaked in blood, it's calm, waiting for rebirth. The macrophages, once destroyers, now act as architects. They whisper chemical commands, growth factors, into the void. The call is answered. These are fibroblasts, the body's engineers. They don't fight. They don't kill. They build. With every slow crawl, they drag behind them the threads of life. Collagen, the protein that gives structure to everything you are. Collagen is not random. It's geometry. Each strand aligns with the stress lines of the tissue, nature's blueprint for strength. Slowly, the wound begins to close, not from the surface, but from the microscopic world beneath. Within days, a collagen bridge forms, the foundation of new flesh. Strong enough to bind, flexible enough to move. It's temporary, but vital, a framework upon which real tissue will grow. Meanwhile, oxygen returns. Tiny vessels, guided by signals from macrophages, sprout into the wound. They bring with them life, nutrients, oxygen, warmth. The wound is no longer dead space. It's alive again, glowing with faint crimson light under the microscope. Fibroblasts don't act alone. They move as if choreographed, a microscopic symphony of motion and purpose. Every movement pulls the wound tighter. Every strand makes it stronger. Every cell works without rest, guided by signals invisible to us, but perfectly known to them. Over time, this temporary matrix transforms. Fibroblasts replace the weak, early collagen with stronger versions, type 1 collagen, twisting into dense, unbreakable ropes. It's not just repair, it's redesign. The body doesn't rebuild exactly what was lost. It creates something new, optimized for survival. Every role is defined. Macrophages coordinate, fibroblasts build, endothelial cells reconnect the flow. Each knows when to act and when to step back. Under the microscope, this is no longer war. It's order. It's purpose. It's life reclaiming its form. Above the construction site, the final builders awaken, epidermal cells. They stretch, divide, and glide across the new collagen floor. A fresh surface begins to grow. The wound is almost whole. Beneath the clot you see, this is what's happening. A quiet miracle of design and determination. Fibers weaving, vessels growing, life rebuilding itself, one molecule at a time. Soon, the scab will fall, and beneath it, a new beginning. Days have passed since the cut. The storm of cells has quieted. And now, under the faint hum of life, the surface prepares for its most delicate act, rebirth. The wound may look small from the outside, but beneath that thin crust of dried blood, an entire world is working to close the final gap. What we see as a scab is merely a temporary roof, a fragile ceiling protecting the secret work below. It keeps moisture in and bacteria out. But beneath it, a quiet revolution is happening, the reconstruction of the skin itself. Here, at the border between healed and broken, the keratinocytes awaken. They are the surface architects, the cells that give skin its armor. They sense the emptiness ahead, and they begin to move. These cells don't wait for invitation. They glide beneath the clot, weaving across the new collagen floor that fibroblasts built. Each one moves like a drop of light, sliding, dividing, and expanding into the emptiness. Invisible messengers, epidermal growth factors, guide them. Every signal tells them where to go, when to stop, and when to divide. The body is orchestrating this like a symphony, and the skin cells are the violins, playing in perfect harmony. Hours turn to days. The edges draw closer. And then, finally, they meet. The wound, once an open canyon, now has a bridge. A living sheet of new skin covers what was once exposed to the air. Beneath the surface, the builders still work. Fibroblasts tighten the collagen. Vessels adjust their flow. And immune cells patrol the new border, guarding it against invaders. What we call healing is really a silent negotiation between thousands of cells, each one finding its place in the new order. Once the surface closes, the cells above begin their upward journey, dividing, flattening, dying, to form the protective barrier we call the epidermis. This cycle of life and death creates strength, a living wall that renews itself endlessly. Soon, the nerves find their way back. Their delicate filaments stretch toward the surface, and with them returns sensation, warmth, touch. The wound remembers what it means to feel again, but not everything returns to what it was. The new collagen is dense, ordered, too perfect. This is the birth of a scar, a reminder, etched beneath the surface, of what the body has survived. From chaos to creation, from pain to peace. Every cut tells a story, not of weakness, but of the microscopic armies that fought, rebuilt, and restored you. The wound is closed, but the story is not over. Beneath the new skin, under that faint pink shimmer of a healing scar, a silent transformation is still unfolding. The deeper layers of the body now begin their second masterpiece, the rebirth of sensation and flow. Just below the healed surface lies a realm still in motion, where every cell listens, waits, and responds. The collagen scaffold remains, stiff and dense, but life is weaving its way through it once more. Here, endothelial cells awaken, the builders of blood vessels. They sense chemical whispers, vague, a call from fibroblasts above, and begin to grow tiny capillaries through the scar's fibers. Red light flows again. Oxygen returns to the desert. Each vessel reaches for another, connecting in patterns only nature could imagine. What once was chaos now becomes symmetry, a microscopic garden blooming in slow motion. Blood begins to pulse gently again, carrying warmth, healing, and renewal. But blood isn't the only thing returning. Far deeper, something more intimate stirs. Nerves, the body's storytellers, the messengers of feeling and memory. They reach out slowly, hesitant at first, guided by faint electrical whispers from their severed ends. Each nerve is searching for its other half, a reunion written in biology. And when they connect, a spark of light passes between them, the first pulse of feeling reborn. With each new connection, the map of sensation returns. Pain, warmth, pressure, these signals travel home again. The body remembers. The wound, once silent, now speaks once more. Under the microscope, the harmony is mesmerizing. Red lines for blood, blue lines for nerves, golden threads for structure. Together, they pulse in time. A biological symphony beneath a scar. Healing doesn't end with creation. It ends with refinement. The body prunes what it doesn't need, trimming extra vessels, removing weak fibers. Only the strong, functional ones remain. This is evolution happening in real time inside you. Every heartbeat now echoes here. Each pulse of blood delivers more than oxygen. It delivers continuation. The wound is no longer an injury. It's a living part of the body's rhythm once again. You won't see it from the surface. You won't feel it happening. But beneath every scar lies an orchestra of life. Blood that returned, nerves that remembered, and cells that refused to give up. Weeks have passed. The cut long closed, the pain long gone. To your eyes, only a faint line remains. But under the microscope, that line is alive, still changing, still evolving. Time, it turns out, is not silence. It's the final artist. The first days after healing are quiet but busy. Beneath the surface, fibers stretch, align, and strengthen. The once fierce fibroblasts now move slower. Patient sculptors instead of frantic builders.
They are finishing touches on a masterpiece that began in chaos. As blood vessels stabilize, the scar changes color. The deep red of youth fades to pale, gentle tones. Oxygen no longer floods this place. Only maintenance, only balance. What was once a wound now becomes a whisper. Beneath that calm surface, collagen is quietly rearranging itself. Fibroblasts tug, twist, and reorganize the fibers, replacing weaker strands with stronger, smoother ones. This is remodeling, a process that can last for months. It's the body's version of polishing marble after carving stone. As the scar matures, the crowd thins. The immune soldiers withdraw. The builders pack their tools. Only a few quiet caretakers remain, watching, maintaining, remembering. Scar tissue is different. Its fibers are straight, strong, but less flexible. It doesn't bend or breathe like normal skin. But over months and years, slow adjustments happen. The fibers soften. The structure begins to blend into its surroundings. The difference fades, not erased, but forgiven. Even the skin's color learns to heal. Melanocytes, tiny pigment artists, return to their canvas. Sometimes they paint evenly. Sometimes they leave faint contrasts, a reminder that perfect symmetry isn't the goal, only harmony. The nerves, too, continue their work. Each day, their signals become clearer. Pain fading, touch returning. Their storm has passed. Now, they hum in quiet balance, like a melody remembered after silence. Slowly, the boundaries blur. The scar and the skin become one story again. Where once there was separation, now there is continuity. This is not just repair. It's reunion. As time drifts forward, the scar fades. Not gone, never gone, but transformed into memory. A faint fingerprint of survival. A quiet note at the end of a long song. Every scar tells a story, not of pain, but of persistence, of cells that built, of signals that sang, of life that refused to stop. The wound is gone, the pain forgotten, the skin smooth and whole again. But deep within your body, something remains. A memory, not in your mind, but in your cells. Even after the surface has healed, the body never truly forgets. Every cell that fought in that war carries whispers of it. Chemical scars written in its DNA. Signals stored in its cytoplasm. The wound may have closed, but the story is archived. Meet the tissue macrophages, once the warriors of the immune army. After the battle, some stay behind. They no longer fight, but they remember. Each one stores molecular blueprints, records of bacteria, toxins, and injuries it once encountered. They are the chroniclers of your biological history. Your nerves remember too. Each injury alters their thresholds. A whisper that lingers in the electric language of pain. Next time the skin is hurt in the same place, they'll react faster, sharper, more aware. This is not punishment. It's preparedness. Some memories go even deeper, down to the level of your genes. Cells record past stress through epigenetic marks. Tiny chemical switches that tell your DNA. Be ready. We've been here before. The next time infection or injury arrives, these switches flip faster, and healing begins sooner. Hidden deeper still are stem cells, the body's reserve force. They remember the shape and structure of your tissue. When danger returns, they awaken instantly, rebuilding what was once lost from memory alone. It's as if every cell keeps a blueprint of the past, waiting for the call to rebuild. This microscopic landscape is an archive, a library of experiences stored in proteins, receptors, and signals. When new wounds occur, these archives open, and the response that once took days now begins in hours. The body is learning from itself, an organism with memory deeper than thought. Even immune cells teach each other. One macrophage that fought infection can train another through signaling molecules, passing on experience like veterans sharing wisdom. This is called trained immunity, and it's why your body's second response is always faster than the first, and the memory extends beyond human cells. Your microbiome, the billions of bacteria living peacefully on your skin, also remember injuries. When inflammation begins again, they shift instantly, producing protective compounds and guiding healing. The body doesn't remember alone. It remembers as a community. Even the scar itself whispers. Within its fibers, hidden sensors remain, measuring tension, movement, and chemical balance. They constantly remind surrounding cells. This place has been broken before. Be careful. The wound's story becomes woven into your physiology. Every injury changes you, not just in shape, but in wisdom. Your cells remember what hurt, and they adapt, so that when life wounds you again, you're not the same. You're stronger. The wound is gone. The memory remains. But the battle never truly ends. Every inch of your healed skin, every pore, every cell, is watched over by unseen guardians. Beneath this calm surface lies a bustling world. Tens of billions of cells, working, sensing, repairing, without pause or recognition. Your skin is not a wall. It's a living city. Here move the resident immune cells. The silent patrol. Macrophages wander like quiet detectives, sniffing chemical trails. Dendritic cells extend delicate arms, feeling, tasting, remembering. Each one has a single mission. Never let harm return unnoticed. At the frontier, the Langerhans cells. They form the skin's watchtowers, guarding the outer barrier, sampling every molecule that dares to land. A speck of dust, a stray microbe, a drop of sweat. They test, analyze, and if danger lurks, they sound the alarm. Communication never stops here. Cells speak in chemistry, sending secret messages through molecules called cytokines. One signal can awaken thousands. A whisper becomes a shout. A single alert can turn peace into full mobilization in seconds. Above, another army stands guard, one not made of human cells. Your microbiome, trillions of bacteria that call you home. They are your ancient allies, feeding on your oils, producing acids that keep invaders at bay. They fight beside you, a symbiotic defense older than civilization itself. Even the cells themselves are guardians. The keratinocytes at the base constantly divide, sending fresh troops to the surface, pushing out old cells, sealing cracks, renewing protection. Every few weeks, your entire outer layer dies heroically and is replaced by new life. When danger returns, the patrol becomes an army. Neutrophils sprint toward the breach. Fast, reckless, fearless. They engulf invaders, sacrifice themselves, and leave chemical trails for others to follow. Each act of defense comes at the cost of life, yet none hesitate. Around every injury, the body raises a chemical shield. Antimicrobial peptides, enzymes, and reactive bursts. They burn, cleanse, and neutralize threats. A biochemical storm unleashed at microscopic scale. And yet, just millimeters away, other cells continue their quiet work. Undisturbed, unfazed. Even in rest, the skin never sleeps. When you dream, macrophages tidy up, stem cells repair microtears, and bacteria rebalance their colonies. Every night, your surface world renews itself, like a city maintaining its streets before dawn. You are never unguarded. Not for a moment. The skin remembers. The cells patrol. The microbiome hums its ancient song. Even when you forget your wounds, the guardians beneath you do not. They are always there, watching, waiting, protecting the fragile miracle. That is you. Every act of healing comes with a price. The body's war against injury is ruthless, and sometimes it wins too well. Here, the fibroblasts lose restraint. They weave too much collagen, a frantic overcorrection, layer upon layer. They form a barricade, harder, thicker, and less flexible than before. A scar is born, a monument to overprotection. Beneath that smooth surface, the architecture of life is gone. Capillaries no longer flow freely. Nerves twist awkwardly through the maze. The skin becomes tough, but numb. The body chooses strength over sensitivity, safety over perfection. Sometimes, the nerves never recover. Trapped in scar tissue, they send distorted signals. Pain where there is no wound. The mind feels echoes of battles long ended. This is the phantom whisper of healing gone wrong. And sometimes, the healing refuses to stop entirely. The scar grows beyond its borders. A keloid, a rebellion of the repair process. Cells keep building, blind to completion, turning protection into prison. In other wounds, the opposite happens. Inflammation never fully fades. Macrophages stay angry. Cytokines keep whispering. And tissue remains trapped in a loop. Half healed, half burning. This is chronic inflammation. A slow fire that never dies. Healing is creation. But creation without restraint becomes destruction. The same molecules that mend can mutilate. The same cells that save can scar. It is a delicate art. And the body, though wise, is not perfect. And scars do not only live on the skin. Inside the lungs, fibrosis can steal breath. In the liver, cirrhosis can strangle function. Even the heart, after a heart attack, heals by scarring. Stronger, but less alive. Every organ remembers its pain, sometimes too deeply. Eventually, even the healers tire. Stem cells grow quiet. Signals fade. The battlefield falls still. Not in victory, but surrender. This is the body's compromise. Imperfect survival over endless repair. Every scar tells a story, not a failure, but of limits. Healing is not about returning to what was. It's about learning to live with what remains. Even in imperfection, there is wisdom. And even in damage, there is beauty. The battle has ended. The wound has healed. But life inside you never stops moving. Because even now, as you sit still, your body is quietly rebuilding itself. Cell by cell, breath by breath. Beneath your skin, dawn breaks again and again. Not in hours, but in seconds. Every moment, old cells fade, and new ones rise to take their place. Death and life, in perfect harmony. Each division, each replication, is an act of faith, a promise that life continues. Even when no one is watching, you are a symphony of renewal. Your very being rewritten millions of times each day. In this world, death is not an end. It is nourishment. When a cell dies, its body feeds the next generation. Proteins recycled, energy reclaimed. From decay, the seeds of new life emerge. You are a garden of vanishing and return. Every heartbeat shakes loose the old. Every breath waters the new. Even scars, once silent stone, slowly soften, absorbed back into the rhythm of living tissue. Even your mind renews itself. Tiny caretakers, microglia, sweep through your brain each night, pruning memories, repairing links, reshaping who you are. You wake each morning, rebuilt in ways you will never know. In your bones, a hidden river flows. Hematopoietic stem cells give birth to millions of blood cells every second. A cascade of crimson, feeding every organ, carrying oxygen like stories passed from heart to heart. The skin you see today will be gone in a month. Each flake of dust in your room once belonged to you, a silent testament to the endless cycle of letting go. Inside every cell, a clock ticks. DNA breaks, repairs, replicates. Each cycle measured, recorded, balanced. Too slow, and you age. Too fast, and you fracture. But just right, and you live in perfect rhythm. When seen up close, you are made of cells. But when seen deeply enough, you are made of stars. The laws that shape galaxies also shape you. The same cycle of creation, collapse, and rebirth. You are not separate from the universe. You are the universe, remembering itself. So when you heal, when your body renews, when you rise after pain, remember this. Every wound, every tear, every scar is just another step in the eternal rhythm of life rebuilding itself. From the smallest cell to the endless stars, the miracle is the same. To die a little and be reborn again.